Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Peter Stenner, Colonel, United States Marine Corps, will now deliver the invocation.
What a beautiful day it is today. Let us bow our heads and ask for God's blessings. Heavenly Father, we ask for your blessings this day as we gather to celebrate the retirement of Lieutenant Colonel Tony Bown. After 21 years of faithful service to our Corps and as we close this chapter, we are especially grateful for the wisdom and guidance you have provided him as he met the many challenges provided by the Corps to include a combat deployment. He's provided guidance, leadership, and mentoring to many Marines during his career and has made positive impacts on their lives. Before we close this chapter, we also need to give thanks for uniting Tony and Joni, his wife, for 20 years. Together they have forged a loving relationship and truly exemplified the sacred bonds of manhood. As a military wife, you have made many sacrifices, but these sacrifices you have made your commitment to each other very special. God has also blessed you with 3 wonderful children, Brayden, Sarah Beth, and Emily. Your parents' love and are committed to you has been unfailing, and you truly are the apples of their eyes. Just remember, everything they do for you is for your best interest, although sometimes you may not realize it. Being a kid today is tough. But again, understand that your parents love you and respect you and will do anything for you within their power. And I think at some time you'll realize that your parents are probably pretty happy. Before we continue the ceremony, I'd like to ask for additional prayers and blessings for Tony and Joni's parents who come to share this special day. For all Marines and other service members who are deployed in harm's way this day. For all Marines and other service members who bear the physical and psychological scars of war. For all families who have lost loved ones, so that we can continue to enjoy the freedom of this great country. I'd like to end this with the following thoughts from St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, there is still love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. May the Lord continue to watch over us and provide us love and wisdom, and especially to Tony, Joni, Brayden, Sarah Beth, and Emily as they begin the next chapter of their lives. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. And please introduce Colonel Bown Day, who will preside over today's ceremony.
Joni, Brayden, Sarah Beth, fellow colonels, fellow Marines, family, moms, dads, and the boys. Thank you for coming. It's entirely appropriate for you to. I've only worked with Tony for a little while, and so I was kind of confused why he asked me to do this, but certainly honored. Then when you see us stand side by side, you realize that everyone else you work for is 6 foot something, and that he and I both suffer from the Italian vertically challenged gene, and it dawned on me as to why that happened. Thank you. For the family and your parents in particular, you hail from where my mom comes from. She's in Hershey, we're in Harrisburg, so a couple pieces of advice. You're in the South now, so talk a little slower while you're here. When you go home, make sure you have your tires on your car. And as you pass DC, check your wallet, because money tends to leave this area. We had people that traveled all the way from Oklahoma, and we thank you. Usually me, at this point, for those of us that are familiar with this, go through someone's career and it's kind of a test on do you remember the right date, the right unit. And usually you get away with it because most of the people in the audience don't know. And so I would tell Tony, if I get it wrong, your job is to lie and tell them I got it right, because they won't know. But you know when you have it in front of you, so I'm not going to try to do that. talk to you about what I've learned. For one, what I've learned in my C's career is this reoccurring theme in how one builds on another and allows him to continually be the successful officer he was. And in particular, that he got asked out of here to go back to manpower because we're going to have some noted learning points about manpower, and we're hoping that he will apply his lessons. And it started with when he came in. Allegedly, he had an aviation contract that somehow got lost. Now, I would have thought an Italian would have more street savvy than that. I'm not sure if he wasn't confused that rounds coming through tubes travel through the air, so therefore it's kind of aviation, so he thought he was in the right place. But that's how he got started. He went down to Fort Sill in 1992. He met his bride, Joni. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. He just spent 6 months with his forced military acquaintances at Camp Quantico. The same guy that told him there were power boats and canoes lied. He gets to Oklahoma, finds a beautiful woman. He goes, I can figure this one out. We've been married 20 years. We thank you for that. And I'm sure there's all kinds of stories of war that would come out from that adventure. As we get ready to close this chapter, I'm sure the family, this is cool. You get to see the start. You get to see the close of this chapter. And I imagine with a bit of a sigh, that is in one piece. So thank you for that. After Fort Sill, he goes off to be an Army guy. He does the progression we would expect of officers that are going to rise from platoon commander on up into the executive officer of the battery headquarters. While he was there, he trained the presidential salute battery for President Nixon's funeral. He left there. He had another manpower issue. They had to deal with augmentations or EASs. I understand he had a bit of an attitude, and he wasn't wild about an EAS, so he was actually on terminal leave, and he got a set of orders to parasite, and he accepted it. If you think about that, we don't put our low crawlers in front of Marines that we're training. So he goes down there and he trains our newest Marines, which becomes a series officer, moves up the rank to a battalion officer, and then up to the headquarters ranks again. And that's going to come into play, because later in his career he's going to be at manpower and list the plans. So at least he has an appreciation for that life and what it does. While he was there, he was at the drill field when we invented and developed the crucible, which those of you who walk through this venue, you can see about it, and it's become a hallmark of how we train our Marines. From there, he goes to school because he needs to get smarter. And from there, he goes back to the operational forces and he does what we like to do, which is a lot of TACs, a lot of fire X's. He's a fire directing officer. He picks up battery command. So that's good. And that's fun because we like throwing gunpowder and blowing things up. What the parents probably don't know is we don't do that right. People get hurt, even in training. So he did that very well. From there, he did it well enough that they decided to select him to be an instructor to go teach those the business of ourselves. I think while you're there, you got put into the order of St. Barbara, which you're for your battery command. At the artillery school, that's a joint school. It's Army, Marines, and Allied. And he goes up to the position of senior instructor, and he revamps the training program, holistically. And he becomes the first OPSO of the enlisted artillery training. Enlisted artillery training. He's going to end up in manpower and enlisted plans. So all these things will build upon himself. He comes out of there, and we move up in life, and he does enlisted plans. And we go through the time when we're growing the Marine Corps from 182 up to 200 and 2,000 engines. And they do that, and they finish 2 years ahead of schedule. And I'm not a manpower guy. But I was involved in the backside of that growth, and I can tell you there's a lot of pulling on oars behind the scenes to ingest that kind of increased instruction and do it right and do that well. Now, it's probably appropriate then that after a year he goes back to manpower because we're going back down. So the guy that was involved in building the plans to get us up should be fairly informed on how to go the other way and do it smartly and trust him to do that. He He ends up back with the Marines again. He'd gone from 5th Battalion, 11th Marines, to 1st Battalion, 11th Marines. Now he's back to 5th Battalion, 11th Marines. So I guess the 1st didn't like him and sent him back to the 5th. And now he's at the battalion level as an XO, and he gets pulled into the Division G3 as a plans officer because they were supposed to be the command element to go forward to OIF for Fallujah. There's a change in leadership, and they decided MEF 4 is going to go, so he goes from the division over to MEF G3 shop as current watch officer, and he goes to Iraq for a year. If you're in ops, you're busy. If you're in ops during the war, you're really busy, and you don't put people there that can't do that job well and be ready to answer emails on high as to what's going on and decisions that need to be made. So that speaks well of him. From there, he comes to beautiful Camp Quantico. He goes to Manpower. He's with the Manpower section that was talked about, and he comes from up the street to us here at Division now. When he got here, we weren't who we are now. We were the ground training division. And in the time that he was there, in my short time here, we did a reorganization, and we sort of mixed aviation and ground. God forbid we should do that over time. And it's a water and wine event, and I can tell you, not only with the outstanding work that he did while he was doing that job, he was my sounding board. It's whenever you are going to bring change into an organization, it's pretty tough. And you need a place to go to bounce off your ideas and have someone that will tell you, that's about the sweetest thing I've heard you think of, and not afraid to tell you that. And Tony did that for me, and I appreciate it. So when you look back over his career, he continues to move up in positions of responsibility, positions of rank. He continually is put in places where we're either training or setting an example for developing the training as he finished with us as MTSD. I think that speaks well. I could have been happier for the time I worked with him, and I'm sure now that he's up the street, we'll try to figure out some backdoor way to get to him, to get around Mr. Appleby and people to get what we need in the size of our structure down here. I'd like to thank the family for these 20 years. And thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the reading of the service award citation and retirement orders. Officer to be decorated and retired. Center. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal, Gold Star, in lieu of 4th Award to Lieutenant Colonel Anthony W. Bown, United States Marine Corps. For outstanding meritorious service as Operations Officer, Operations Branch, Marine Air Ground Task Force Training and Education Standards Division, Training and Education Command, Quantico, Virginia, from August 2010 to October 2012. Lieutenant Colonel Bown developed policies, implemented a battle rhythm, and codified a standard operating procedure for an amalgamate organization created from 3 independent branches. He created, socialized, and instituted the Marine Air Ground Task Force Training and Readiness Program construct and its first ever manual terms and reference charter, capturing standards of the Marine Corps fighting organization and defining the roles and responsibility of standards development, revision, and adjudication. With a firm knowledge and understanding of the training continuum, he improved the core processes for developing training and readiness manuals and the staffing of the programs and instruction by aligning current directives with the needs of the operating forces and the formal learning centers, while increasing manual and program production rates by 20%. Ultimately, his organizational skills, leadership, and bias for action served the operational requirements of Training and Education Command brilliantly, making significant and lasting contributions to the training and combat effectiveness of thousands of Marines. Superior performance of duties, as typified above, highlight the culmination of 21 years of honorable and dedicated Marine Corps service. Lieutenant Colonel Bown's exceptional professional ability, leadership, and total devotion to duty reflected great credit upon him and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. Signed, T.M. Murray, Major General, United States Marine Corps, Commanding General, Training and Education Command. From Commanding General, Training and Education Command. 2. Lieutenant Colonel Anthony W. Bown, U.S. Marine Corps. Subject: release from active duty and transfer to the retired list. On 1 November 2012, you will be placed on the Marine Corps retired list. Accordingly, at 23:59, 31 October 2012, you will be detached from your present duty station and released from active duty. You will proceed to your home in Stafford, Virginia. Your presence will be missed by your fellow Marines. We request that you continue to support them in their undertakings. On behalf of the Commandant of the Marine Corps and those with whom you have served, I express sincere appreciation for your faithful service and wish you health, happiness, and every success in the future. Signed, T.M. Murray, Major General, U.S. Marine Corps, Commanding General, Training and Education Command. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Certificate of Appreciation for the service in the Armed Forces of the United States. Lieutenant Colonel Anthony W. Bown, U.S. Marine Corps. I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of the grateful nation for your contribution to honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow in your footsteps and for all Americans who join me today in saluting you for a job extremely well done. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Barack H. Obama, Commander-in-Chief. Dear Lieutenant Colonel Bown, upon the occasion of your retirement, I extend my sincere appreciation for your dedicated service to the Corps. During your career, the Marine Corps has been involved in combat, and it has been because of Marines like you that the Corps has acquitted itself so well on the battlefield. High standards of excellence in conduct and performance have long been our hallmark, and with them, a unique spirit that sets us apart. You can be proud to have been a part of that legacy, and to have attained your grade in an organization such as ours. In recognition your long and dedicated service to the Corps, we cannot fail to acknowledge the contributions of your family over those many years. Long and frequent separations are a way of life for Marines, and it takes a very special kind of family to share the many hardships with us. We owe them our deepest gratitude. As you leave our active ranks, go with the knowledge that your distinguished service will have a lasting influence, and it has earned you a legion of friends and fellow Marines who wish you well in the coming years. The Corps is better because you served, and our nation can stand proud because it produces Marines like you. I speak for all Marines in wishing you good health and good fortune. Semper Fidelis, Marine. James F. Annis, General, U.S. Marine Corps, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Colonel Day will now present Lieutenant Colonel Bown with his American flag. This certifies that our nation's flag was flown over the Marine Corps base Quantico, Virginia on 18 October 2012 in honor of Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Bown, United States Marine Corps, for his 21 years of dedication and faithful service to the United States Marine Corps. A command duty officer log entry has been made attesting to this fact. Signed, J. L. Reynolds, Major, U.S. Marine Corps, Command Duty Officer, Marine Corps Base, Quantico. Mrs. Bown will now join her husband. The Marine Corps understands that Marines will be less effective without the enduring support of our families. Accordingly, we are pleased to acknowledge the years in which Mrs. Bown unwaveringly offered her support and endured hardships that few outside our profession would appreciate. The following certificate of appreciation for Major General Thomas M. Murray is presented to Mrs. Joni L. Bown. United States Marine Corps Certificate of Appreciation presented to Joni L. Bown on the occasion of the retirement of your husband, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony W. Bown. From active duty, you've earned the Corps' grateful appreciation for your unselfish, faithful, and devoted service. Your unfailing support and understanding have made a lasting contribution to our country. The United States Marine Corps and Training and Education Command. Given under my hand this 19th day of October 2012. Thomas M. Murray, Major General, U.S. Marine Corps, Commanding General, Training and Education Command. At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Bown's wife and children, Brady, Sarah Beth, and Emily, are being presented with certificates and tokens of appreciation for their service. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Bown.
I'm going to read today what I chose to do, so I'm going to stick to the script here, if you will. So just please bear with me. It's great to be back in uniform one more time here today. Up front, I'd like to thank the support staff here at the museum, along with Phil Warren, Staff Sergeant Bown, Major Jimmy Whitlock, and the TCOM MACTAP Training Education Standards Division for their support of this ceremony today. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Casey Harsh for narrating and Mr. Stenner for providing the communication today. Thank you, gentlemen. I'd especially like to thank family and friends traveling from out of state, my dad and stepmom, my mother and stepdad, my cousins from Pennsylvania, my in-laws from Oklahoma, and my sister-in-law from Tennessee. Also, I'd like to thank the leadership within MP Division MNRA for giving me an opportunity to have a second career with the Marine Corps as a civilian, and to the leadership within the MACTAP Training Education Standards Division of TCOM for selflessly supporting me and taking that opportunity, even though I meant I left unplanned in a hurry without a replacement, which is why the ceremony is taking place today and not next summer. Also, I'd like to say thanks to the folks at the Separations and Retirements Branch and the Marines at the IPAC for the timely and responsive administrative support for my quick retirement. I know most of you out there are senior Marines, so most of what I say won't be surprising, but nonetheless I do have a few comments to offer over my career. Today is a great day, a day that marks a milestone that simply would not have occurred if it weren't for the outstanding people I've been blessed with or have had the honor to serve with. The Marine Corps is all about people, and the Marine Corps is full of great people. Marines succeed in their mission because of other Marines and also the support they receive from their families. Being a Marine is not an individual effort. As expected and as customary in these types of things, I'd like to start off with a few thank yous to some key folks. I'm only going to mention a few by name today for fear of inadvertently leaving somebody out because there are so many I can thank for so many reasons over 21 years. But there are a few I have to mention by name today, and I hope you'll understand why. First First, I'd like to thank God for all of his many blessings. He provided me with the spiritual, mental, physical, and personal related skills and abilities, along with all support required to sustain a career in the Marine Corps. There are many circumstances beyond individual control that can limit someone from completing a full career in this profession, and this was clearly a part of this plan for me. As the Colonel alluded to earlier, I'd like to thank my officer selection officer, Captain Joe Soto, for approving my aviation contract in my parents' house in 1989. He never gave me a copy of it. Sometime before
Crazy.
I got out of the Marine Corps, it was low Semper Fi. Seriously, if it wasn't for that, I would have never met my wife, and probably spent the entire career wishing it was around. No offense to the aviators. To my wife, Joni, without her unwavering love and loyal support, I wouldn't be standing here today with her. We met in 1992 at Long, Oklahoma, when I was going through the Field Artillery Officer's basic course at Fort Sill, and we were married for 3 months before the course ended. This year we celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary, and I'm thankful to be standing here with her at my side. Not only did you fulfill all the duties of being a Marine spouse for over 20 years, to include PCS moves, deployments, and putting your own needs second, you tolerated my behavior, raised our 3 kids, completed bachelor's and master's degrees, and started to maintain a career. I can't express in mere words my thanks to you and all you've done for our family. To my 3 kids, the joy you brought me every day, even on the toughest days, you're all great troopers. As a father, I'm truly blessed to watch all 3 of you grow up. No matter where we were living, no matter how many new schools you went to, or how many new houses we lived in, or how many times we had to leave family and friends to start all over again. Couldn't ask for better. To my parents, step-parents, and extended family for bringing me up in an environment that contributed to shaping me into someone capable of becoming a Marine officer. Also, to a few other key figures, relatives, and friends of the family that taught me some valuable lessons about life as a youngster back in the old neighborhood, on the field of competition, and as a laborer in the construction field. Served me well in the Marine Corps. To my in-laws for all their support through the years in both my personal and professional lives, I can't thank you enough for everything. As many times as we passed through Fort Sill, and no matter where else we lived or the situation in our lives, they were always there to support. It's fitting to know today that my father-in-law is a former 0811 back in the 60s, and then 101 outlaw on 105mm unit in the reserves, and that my mother-in-law was a career employee at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, home of the Field Artillery. Next, it would only be appropriate that I thank the current Undersecretary of the Navy, Colonel Retired Bob Work, who was the CO of 511 when I was a lieutenant. He was directly responsible for keeping me in the Marine Corps. I turned down an extension to active duty and went on terminal leave in 1995. With the EAS quickly approaching, no job and a baby on the way, I called him and went to bat for me with headquarters Marine Corps officer assignments, enabling me to take a set of orders to Paris Island, where I was augmented into the regular Marine Corps the following year. I wouldn't be standing here today without his leadership and willingness to take an interest in me as a potential career. I'd also like to thank the gunny at the dispersing office at Paris Island who brought me back to good pay status after my pay had officially stopped in my original EAS. Casey Castro, I don't remember his name, but I surely remember him helping me out. I've got to mention thank you to Colonel Jeff Fondahl, Major Jeff Crockett, and Colonel Fast Lady Elizabeth Tolbert, retired artilleryman, who gave me the opportunity to command as a captain while I was medically non-deployable. As a battalion officer, I was slated to take command of Alpha Battery for the new deployment, but was diagnosed with cancer. Though I couldn't deploy, they gave me the opportunity to command Charlie Battery while I was undergoing recovery. And that turned out to many friends through that tour I'm still close with today. For the enlisted plans section in the Manpower Plans Programs and Budget Branch at MNRA, thanks so much for your hard work and support during my tour of Manpower and the Marine Corps Royalty Tour to UK. I'm still amazed at the huge impact throughout the Marine Corps that resulted from the efforts of such a relatively small group of people. To the leadership, Marines, sailors, and civilians of the State of Division TCOM, thank you for your selfless leadership, gentlemen, and support of my transition from the Marine Corps. So just to comment on why I decided to join the Marines. When I was a series commander at Paris Island, I was required to do an interview with every recruit that came through. One of the questions I would ask each recruit individually is why they joined the Marine Corps. Answers varied anywhere from my father and his father were Marines to the judge gave me a choice of jail to I have no idea why I'm here. The biggest influence on my decision to join the service was growing up listening to family World War II stories. My choice to join the Marine Corps was based on my observations of the Marines and the esprit de corps and pride they always embodied, along with the belief that the Marine Corps was the best trained in the services and first to fight. Many family members from both sides of my family served. I always looked up to these patriots of European descent, second-generation Americans who fought some of the most peaceful combat in our nation's history, so we could enjoy the freedoms we have today. Looking around this museum is a succinct reminder to me of the sacrifices that my family members and those like them made for us. My family members' service includes Marine Corps and Army service at Iwo Jima, Peleliu, Tarawa, Battle of the Bulge, Army Air Corps bomber pilot, European theater, U.S. Navy Pacific theater in World War II, and Vietnam. My cousin Chuck here today and the other family artillerymen helped keep the stories going, along with my dad, who himself during the draft voluntarily enlisted in the U.S. Army after completing college. Everyone did their time back then. It's a big part of our information training. I'd also like to mention the service members and families of my current generation, my cousin Mark Policelli here today, Marine Artillery, my cousin Bill Policelli, U.S. Army Medic, Phipps family, my sister-in-law Laura, his husband Kurt served in the U.S. Army as a career warrant officer, their son, my nephew Bryce Phipps, U.S. Navy, and their daughter, my niece Marin's husband Sean Farrell, U.S. Army. All these individuals have multiple combat deployments and honor to be part of that family. It's not easy to become a Marine or to have a long, meaningful career. Rick Bow, the former heavyweight boxing champion, reported to MCRD Paris Island as a recruit when I was a series commander, although I was in another battalion. This, to me, was a win-win situation for the Marine Corps in terms of media and recruiting. If the heavyweight champ made it, the headlines would read something like, "The champ chooses the Corps and becomes a Marine." If he washed out, the headlines would read, "The Corps is too tough for the champ." Anybody here know what happened? He came to Paris Island and left the civilians 2 short weeks later. Champ didn't pack beer to become a Marine. Not a guarantee by any means. To me, the slogan for our recruiting command, earn, never given, is a word. And I think it attracts the right people that we want on the Marine. I'd just like to briefly make a couple of comments on my experience throughout my career. First, about Marines in general. Marines in any capacity are amazing. Marines can figure out a way to accomplish anything in the worst situations. They're fiercely loyal to each other. It's been a true honor to serve with so many fine Americans. In the fleet, I had the experience of serving at every level from platoon to MEF. I had 3 sporting establishment tours in TCOM, and a tour our headquarters Marine Corps manpower. All of them have been challenging and rewarding in their own ways. But I'm especially proud to have served 3 tours as Marines, 1st Marine Division, and as an instructor at the Officers Task Force at Fort Sill. I had a great time serving as an artilleryman. The mission and the Marines were outstanding. Of note, the best tour of my career was at 111, serving as a battery CO, battalion FDO, and battalion OPSO, and the habitual direct support role of the 1st Marines. Instructing at the world's mecca of field artillery at Fort Sill was an honor. Fort Sill has more artillery located there than anywhere else in the free world. At the time we were there were 14 battalions of cannon and/or rocket on the post. I also had the pleasure of instructing Allied students from Croatia, the Philippines, Turkey, and France, and working with instructors from the British, Australian, and Canadian armies. And just a note on timing, I believe anyone who joins the Corps joins to prepare and Corps and to deploy combat. That's why I joined. Good, bad, or indifferent, my timing was such that I narrowly missed several operational deployments throughout my career until I was finally able to deploy to OIF later on. Only to get PCS orders from the fleet for the last time 6 months later. To me, that combat deployment justifies over 21 years. Finally, like I mentioned before, I always felt that Marine Corps service was all about people. But it was during my time here at Quantico that I learned that it was also all about the resources, money, and congressional support required to begin, train, and equip the force. So I'll use a sports analogy to wrap this up. Most athletes, other than maybe Brett Favre here in recent history, realize when it's time to hang it up and give up their spot on the roster. Maybe they've lost a step, or just know it's coming in everyone's best interest to step down and give a fresh, younger player a shot. I'm giving up my spot on the Corps roster. Not that I didn't want to continue to contribute, but it's time. I know there's a few Lieutenant Colonel selects out there that need their chance to lead up and do great things for the Corps. And I want to leave the Corps with good words. The good news is that even though I'm hanging up my boots, I'll be able to continue to serve the Marine Corps right here at Quantico as a civilian. So to the kids, this event marks a teachable moment, and I hope you're embracing it. So I'd like to take this opportunity just to say a few words to you. I stand here today as living proof that hard work and perseverance pays off. I was a regular kid from a regular family, a regular town, majored in industrial arts, I was a shop major, both in high school and college. I was certainly never groomed to be a military officer. I wasn't interested in NROTC or any of the military academies. I just wanted to serve Canada. But what I did have, and still have today, is a general fear of failure, which is motivating. What could have been worse than telling all my family and friends I was leaving for Marine Corps OCS and not making it through, or not measuring up to my CO's expectations throughout my career? Through hard work and not giving up, you can achieve your goals. I stand here as a person who achieved that goal and ended up becoming a career opportunity that most people would never get the chance to have. My goal was to become a Marine officer. It wasn't easy, but it's not supposed to be. Nothing in this world worth having is easy to get. Achieving that goal has enabled me to spend my entire adult life in service to the Marine Corps. It's been a team effort all the way, one that could not have been achieved merely by myself. So my lesson to the kids today is establish goals, work hard to achieve them, recognize opportunity and take action, and always remember it's all about people. Treat others as you want them to treat you. I'm lucky to have had this experience in my life. Being Lieutenant Colonel Marines isn't too bad for a regular kid from Harrisburg, PA. It's been a great experience. I did my best to serve, contribute, and make a difference to both individuals and to the institution while being a good steward of taxpayers' money. Thank you for coming today and something for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for Anchors Away and the Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated for presentations from the MAGTAP Training and Education Standards Division. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Mr. Judge for the presentation of the youth awards.
Hey, Tony, well done. Hey, retired life's pretty good, let me tell you that right now. Okay, first of all, I just want to say personally, Tony, as my operations officer in the ground training division, before we became MAGTAP team and standards division, Tony and I appreciate everything you do for us. And some of the things that people don't realize are really helping us to grow students and people. So I want to give you our certificate, the one that we give to everybody, but I want to read it to you. So, from MAGTAP, Training and Education Standards Division, let it be known that on the 19th day of October in the year of 2012, on the occasion of this retirement, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony W. Bown is recognized for his service while assigned to MAGTAP Training and Standards Division Training and Education Command. On behalf of your fellow Marines and co-workers, I want to personally thank you for your dedicated service as the operations officer for MAGTAP Team and Standards Division. Your professionalism and hard work have been inspirational. You can take satisfaction that your efforts in directing and managing the division operations, establishing a TNR conference boundary, leading development of the MAGTAP Commando TNR manual, and establishing formal terms of reference for ground TNR development process has made a significant difference in advancing TCOM's mission and helping the operating force achieve greater training readiness. Your organizational skills, approach to problem solving, and leadership have had a considerable positive impact on the division and those that you have served with over your 21 years of service to the Corps and country. Best wishes to you and your family, and particularly Joey, and I want to just wish you the best of luck in your continued service to the Corps, working as a policy analyst in manpower policy and reserve affairs. It's been a pleasure serving you on that signing Corps Day. Give you our ubiquitous plaque here that goes Colonel Anthony W. Bown, Operations Section from August 2010, October 2012. Where's Connor at today? Very simple.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes the ceremony.